Moderate. Ich will moderate. Maybe. swept 1, 2, 3, and this one is already span 100. Span all of it. Now I want to switch this to this. Is it trail detail? Yes, trail, not trail detail, trail 1. No reason. No wonder this why it's not working. So that's 1. No, this is 2. 1 slash minus 1. That's all of it. Okay. Sure, it should be. I think this one should be the slide grid. There's 3 row. There's 3. 1 columns. That's good. I want to reverse that. But then I want to move this down, so let's do this. Trail name, right? Is it trail name? Grid columns, grid row, 2. Doesn't work. Row 1, 2. So 2 is down here. It's trail detail inside of trail. Then trail detail include trail name. Trail detail. Trail detail. 2, 2, and then the image is 1. Let's do it right here. IMG. Okay. Row 1. Does it work? Row 1. Okay, and this is so that's the second column. So this is sort 1, 2 to 3. So what I want with row start from 1, 2, 2. Is it columns or row? And then this from 2 to 3. One, two, two, 2, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. So now this one I want to start from 2 to 3, and then this one from 1 to 2. Doesn't work. What? 2 to 3. Maybe the image. Let's do one at all. Okay, now it works. Okay. Okay. Now I want each columns to be. I've got the image now. Maybe the second min-max.
Lite grann. Här. Det är det då.
그래, 난 내려가 봐.
thì cái nào của Tùng, cái nào của bác thì để đấy nhá. Để đấy nhá.
This is only one of many.
Alright, we finished the responsive. Now what we need to do is hook it up with an API. So let's do some research.
Okay, so this might be a little of an unconventional approach. I'm supposed to teach you how to use fetch, but what I would actually like you to do is to work on this challenge. You're going to Google how to use fetch with JSON, and you should really get a good result as probably the first or maybe second result from MDN. And you'll find on that page an example of how to use fetch, but I want you to manually copy over the fetch example that you see and change the URL that they use with this dog CEO URL that I have here. The only reason I'm doing it this way this time is because it's going to be a very common task for you as a developer to have to Google something, look up the documentation for how to do something. Of course, we're going to go through this together, but I highly encourage you to give this challenge your very best try. So pause here and try it out. Okay, well, I took a couple of screenshots just to show what my results look like. So I searched for how to use fetch with JSON, and at the very top result was the Mozilla Developer Network, or MDN, article on using fetch. And in that article, it led me to this example where it has fetch, a URL, and two .then sort of blocks after it. So we are going to do that. We're using the keyword fetch. This is a built-in function to JavaScript. We are going to use this URL. You didn't have to manually copy over this URL, just copy and paste is fine. And in our
Let's try this and put it into our general outdoor. Maybe this. Let's try this. Let's see what is in our console. Fail to load source map. Let's watch it. Outdoor bike trail, trail map list, bike trail info. I don't know. Da da da. Hello. Sign up for key. Let's go to this. No, actually go with GitHub. GitHub, authorize. Do the best. Oh. Da, 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 da. Your name. How many years coding? Maybe 1 to 2 years. Personal project. Maybe yes. Yeah, that. Premium. JavaScript, jQuery, copy code. Let's see this. Boom. Nothing happened. No response. Open API. We have the key here. So get function. Okay, let's see. Let's watch. How to use Trail API.
Hello, my name is William Dale, and this is my ad for Trail Guide. I had built this up to search for items in UI. With search, and we see here are the locations. They get a description. Places now, so we can go search the items here, and might need a tent to start. I'll camp out. And we have one location, so we add it to our location.
Why he didn't?
I landed my first trick at age 11. Albuquerque has heart. It lifted me up.
Albuquerque.
All right, we're gonna go into the all trail setup right here. Start out.
How to use API.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Introduction to APIs video. In this video, I'm going to discuss what exactly an API is, how it works, and how the preliminary stages of development. For this tutorial, we are going to use a real-life RESTful API, put, and delete, as well as the allow today. They are in fact pass between one technology to another. API is available, and how you can communicate with you will be using you will be able to communicate with it right now. We will cover this in the next section. So for this, I've made a project that will allow us to practice some of the common
What I need to do now is actually to access the API. I'm assuming this is a good API. Let's see, are there any other trail API? Hiking trail. Hiking API. Weather API. Trail map. Get a summaries. Subscribe to tests. Let's see. It's 0. I don't want to put it now. But Trail API. API. Build a hiking trail app. Let's see. Well, hiking app. Nobody built it, so probably the first one. But hey, how do you do this? Everyone loves Twitters, Facebook, and all the social media stuff. But I found that this project is kind of unique. What the heck? How do I build this? Where is it? Trail API. How to use API. Let's watch this video.
First page of Google might not be the best for everyone.
The most common are the GET request, POST request, PUT request, and DELETE request. There are others too, but for the sake of the tutorial, these are the ones you need to know. GET essentially gets data, and that's all it does. So imagine you have a client, or in other words, your computer and a server. You are on your computer, and the URL, which is where you want to get your data from, is on a server. The client, so once again your computer, sends an HTTP GET request to the server to retrieve the data we want. So here we have a GET request, or a visualization of a GET request. The client is requesting the server gives it the necessary resources we need. Then after the server has sent the response, so request and response, we say that we've got it. Thank you. After the server sends a response, it closes something called a TCP, or Transmission Control Protocol connection. We also have POST requests and PUT requests. So here we have sending something to the server.
Okay.
POST, PUT data. This essentially is what we want to get. It is one address. Okay, that comes. It is one. It is ingredients, which is an array of ingredients. Addresses, which is an object of many addresses. Again, if we look at this and refresh this, there we go. We now have the Barbie burger. Cool. Let's carry on. So now say I want to edit. We can, what we have, this is a string. So let's stick in my API key, as that is what it is saying I should do. So let's go ahead and do that.
Axios. Then I would need Axios to. What about JavaScript? Do I need Axios? trail.api.rapidapi.com. How do I do this? So here's the key. Not too sure, should I share the key? But yeah, how do I do this? Let's just do name of city, California. Oh, the city is going to be Huntington Beach. Country, United States. State is radius 25. Hiking option. Rating. What is this? Example response. land, country in the United States. Okay, so that is how it's supposed to look like. Copy this code, put it onto here. Let's see what happened. Did I get anything? Nope, not at all. So how do I do this? Let's just go to the Scrimba course and learn that stuff. API.
All right, if you're anything like me, you might be tired of looking at the JSON placeholder API. So we are going to practice what we just learned with query strings on the Open Weather Map API. Now, this challenge is going to be in two parts. The first thing that I want you to do is just going to, I think, do like a plus between these spaces to encode it as a URL, but I don't think I necessarily have to put it there manually. So let's go ahead and add our .then blocks. We'll take the allows me to, let's do this.
So I need to fetch.
Welcome to the module on APIs and asynchronous JavaScript. I'm Bob Zarol, and I'm going to be walking you through this amazing new world of learning APIs and how to use asynchronous JavaScript to help you access data from outside your own machine. Because that's really what it all comes down to. We learn APIs in order to access real data. Up until now, you've likely been storing your data in objects and arrays just right in your own code right there. And you may have asked yourself, why am I just putting my data right here? That doesn't seem very secure or long-lasting, and that's because that's correct. You've probably noticed that every time you refresh your code, your data tends to reset. By this point, you may already understand that that data doesn't usually live inside the code that's accessing it. Instead, you're usually putting your data somewhere else, like inside of a database on a completely other machine, maybe halfway across the world. And APIs allow us to access that real data. And by accessing that real data, we get to build much more interesting apps than we ever could before. Even if everything I've said so far doesn't totally click, you're going to understand by the end of this module exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to access a whole bunch of different APIs, getting their data, interacting with their databases, and using that to build really cool apps. And finally, another benefit of really studying and understanding APIs is that we're going to be that much more prepared to become a full stack developer. Now, this course won't go into actually developing for the backend and building servers, but understanding the interaction between our machine and their machines and the backend is obviously very crucial in order to even consider becoming a full stack developer. So, what exactly are we going to be learning in this module? We're going to start with just some of the very basics, and we're going to use those basics to help us build an app called BoardBot. And BoardBot, which you can see right here, is simply a button that when you click it, it reaches out to an API called the Board API, and it gives you an idea of something you could go and do. Now, it may not seem like much, but this is going to be our introduction to interacting with an API. Next,
Let me see how to use Rapid API. Rapid API.
Did you know TurboTax now provides you with a tax expert who will do your taxes from start to finish?
Welcome to Rapid API, the world's largest API marketplace. This is a quick start guide that will show you how to discover APIs on Rapid API, subscribe to APIs, and Rapid API up, and you can see that I'm logged in up in the top right corner. Did an account. An API can appear in multiple collections. For example, the food here. Manually contrast categories are assigned collection as well as individual out of the. Notice these three numbers. Starting from left to right, we have the API's popularity score on Rapid. Over 10,000 APIs on the Rapid API marketplace. So you can see we are on the endpoints page here. The endpoints are listed along directly from your browser. So if you're unsure that the API will work for your project, or you just want to see exactly what data will be returned, you can do that in just a few seconds. Since this is a freemium API, we have to subscribe to a plan before we can test it. I want to go ahead and click this subscribe to test button. This will take us to the API's pricing page. Again, the pricing plans will vary depending on what API you're using, but let's take a look at this one for now. For this Spoonacular API, we are and 5 APIs. This is the amount you will be charged for each request if you exceed this daily quota. Again, this will vary by API. Some APIs will alternatively use what is called a hard limit, so you will just be stopped from using the API when you hit the quota, and therefore you will not be charged any overage.
Okay, I didn't subscribe, that's why.
Carefully look over the pricing plan when you're subscribing and make sure that you know what the details are. So again, the free plan should be more than enough to get us started. Once I select, this looks good to me, so in case there's just one required parameter, it's paid what is included in the plan. This looks good to me, so this nice summary of exactly what is included in the plan. This looks good to me.
Alright, let's see. Hiking trail. What is it? Hiking API. Hiker API. Postman. Might be this one is good. Not too sure. Not too sure. Trail. Get trail. Length. Multitude. My test trail. This API allows developers to pull information about hiking trail and their location from an easy to use API. Let's see. Curl. Why is it using curl? Let's use HTML. Fetch. And let's see what happened. Example request. Let's try it. Do. I don't know. What's that? JSON source. What? Network application. Why is it my lead in here? My lead. Okay. What's a JSON file? Storage. Nothing. Lighthouse. IndexedDB. Manifest. Nothing. Record. Lighthouse. Security. Never mind.
So I'll subscribe and head back to the endpoints page. We can now test this endpoint. In this case, there's just one required parameter. Certain endpoints will also include optional parameters. For example, you'll see some endpoints can get quite complicated. Here's one with a required parameter and multiple optional parameters. But for now, we will just use the get quick answer endpoint. You can see Spoonacular has pre-filled an example input already, so we're just going to use this to test the endpoint. I'll click test endpoint and we will see a 200 status code appear. That means our call was a success. We can scroll down and see the response. Our parameter was how much vitamin C is in 2 apples, and our answer was there are 16.74 milligrams of vitamin C in 2 apples. We also get a few other items in our response, including this image of an apple and the type nutrition. So let's try entering our own parameter. I'm going to stick with something similar. How about how many calories are in 1 orange? Again, I'll click test endpoint, and you'll see a 200 status code again pop up here and our response. In 1 orange, there are 61.57 calories, and again...
Okay, let's go to Trail API and subscribe to the... let's subscribe here. Oh shit. Okay, let's just turn off. Switch to something else. Let's wait here for a bit. Shit. Okay guys, we sign it up to the API. That's good. Let's test endpoint. Test some endpoint. Page numbers, optional. Bike trail. Let's do trail map. Okay, this is required. This latitude. Let's do California. This is Huntington Beach. Beach, United States. Radius 25, optional. Latitude. Let's test some endpoint. Bossa Chica. Oh, it's worked now. It works. Yes. Yeah. Bossa Chica. Description: Huntington Beach Trail from the beach extend from Sea Point. Wow. Okay, let's try and get this. Success. Baby. Fetch. Let's do a fetch. Put it into our apps. Alright. Boom. Nothing works.
We have the image and the type. In Go Ahead tab, you'll see a drop down here that allows you to select what programming language you want the snippet to be formatted in. I'm just going to stick with the default Node.js, but you can select any language that you would like. If we don't currently have a code snippet for the language you want to use, that's also not an issue. I'm going to link the doc in the description below that will show you how you can get around that. Now, this is the part where we find people kind of run into issues, especially if they're new to using APIs. But all you have to do is click on this Install SDK button on the right, and instructions for installing the SDK will pop up. This section will look a bit different if you selected a different language, but once again, the process will be the same, so you can go ahead and follow along. I'm just going to copy this section here and switch over to my code editor. I'm in VS Code, but again, you can use any code editor that works for you. You'll see I just have a blank index.js file open. Now in my terminal, I'm going to paste in the line that I copied from the SDK installation guide on Rapid API and hit enter. Now let's go BK file open any code editor. Switch over to my code editor.
Install what?
I'm just going to copy this section here and switch over to my code editor.
I cannot see. Install SDK. Sample. Hey, but there's actually 12 key, 11 key. Bossa Chica. Harriet. Wider. Regional Park. Not too shabby. Description. Wow, this is a long one.
I'm in VS Code. Back to Rapid API and copy in the code snippet. I'll click this little button to copy the snippet and paste it right into my file. Notice I'll click this little button to copy how many.
This is Rapid. Tutorial. Discussion. Well, how do I do this? New subscription is successfully. Blah blah blah. Does it matter? How do I do
Calories are
install SDK? Where is that? What if I try and
paste it right into my file? Click the terminal to enter. I'll click this little button to.
Node.js and interest. Axios fetch.
Copy the snippet and paste it right into my file. Notice our snippet has included the required parameter, how many calories are in one orange. So I will go ahead and save the file and run it. We will see our 3-part response here, which includes the answer there.
Oh, it needs to be inside the terminal. Got it. Let's run the file. New terminal. Let's go to
There are 61 point.
Note. It's not Note. Note.js. What is the default one?
And again, we have the image and the type. Once you test it right here, let's try entering our own parameters using APIs. But all you have to do is click on this install SDK button on the right. Same, so you can go ahead and follow along. I'm just going to copy this section here and switch over to my code editor. I'm in VS Code, but again, you can use any code editor that works for you. You'll see I just have a blank index.js file open. Now in my terminal, I'm going to paste in the line that I copied from the SDK installation guide on Rapid Code snippet. I'll click this little button to copy the snippet and paste it right into my file. Notice our snippet has included
HTTP request. Copy this. Boom. Let's see. Node index.js. Require path trail explore. Oh, I haven't put the outdoor legacy. Huntington Beach. Then let's do country, California. Country is United States. California. Let's do this. Test endpoint. Success. Let's copy this code right here. Boom. Run the same. Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff now. Boom. Let's go. Bunch of information. Now what we need to do is now that is the hard part,
We're
right?
going to go into URLs and REST. And while we're doing that,
The easy part is done. Now I just need to basically use that information and then put it onto my website.
we're going to build a little app called Blog Space, which is sort of a mock blog where we can type in a new title and enter our new body here and hit post, and it'll post our new blog to the top of a list. It'll also be pulling down a list of sort of placeholder blogs from an API called JSON placeholder. After we build the Blog Space app, we're going to go into one of my favorites, and that is really understanding asynchronous JavaScript, and we're going to build the game of War. So in War, you just have 2 cards. You'll be able to get a new deck from the Deck of Cards API. This is a really, really fun API to interact with. And then we can draw and face off against the computer. You can see I'm already starting off well. I've won my first hand. My 8 is greater than the computer's 7, and so I won a game. We can keep drawing through our cards until our cards run out or our remaining cards are 0, at which point it will tell us who the ultimate winner is based on the score. As a reminder, this data is all coming from an API, a server and a database living somewhere else. I haven't coded these images or the number of remaining cards or anything like that directly into my code. All of that lives on the API, and every time we click draw or something. And here we're pulling out all the stops. We're going to be reaching out to the CoinGecko API to get cryptocurrency information. We're going to reach out to the Open Weather Map API to get our current weather. And we're going to reach out to the Unsplash API to get this beautiful image and the author of the image. So these projects are all really exciting. I'm really excited to be teaching this module. I think it's going to expand your understanding and your ability to not only write
Yeah, let's learn
modern
this chapter,
JavaScript, but really
and then
open your mind to
yeah, we would be
possibilities
able
of
to
the kinds of applications that you'll be able to build from here on. And of course, as
let's just
always,
save
there's
this,
going to be a
commit.
ton of challenges for you to get your hands on the keyboard as much as possible. I'm super excited to be teaching this module. I think it's going to not only expand your horizons in terms of the kinds of applications you build, but also
Expand
just
the horizon.
improve your JavaScript skills in general. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
Yeah, we have this. This is nice. This is extremely nice. Do they have like a car API? I want to. Car rating. Consumer report. Product of car. Wow. Cars. Details. Try consumer report. Get recall. Get model. I want to test endpoint. Brand. Wow. Do they have like a rating for this? This is really nice. Popularity is 7. Not really good, right? VIN decoders. Access the VIN decoder will allow you to access the 237. Can I see the result? Car Sports Score API. Average selling. Find sold item. Car API, TIS. Car API. There's so many API here. This is actually cool. Cool. To include additional from about the return body, such as year, request parameter, verbals. Yes. Vehicle attribute. I want to see the result. Tutorial. Wow, test API. Built for developers. Features. Engine API. Electrical, flex fuel. Wow, so many stuff that we can use here. Year, name. Okay.
The required parameter. How
Let's watch this. Let's pause the video. Then we will go and